Welcome to Evolve, where we are embracing progression and expansion. Now, here's your host, Henry Harris. Welcome to Evolve. It's such an honor to be here with you tonight. And we have a special show for you today. I'm here with my dear, lovely friend, Adaykis. And we've been friends for, I don't know, how long have we been friends?
Well, my daughter wasn't born yet, so probably around 8, 9 years now.
Yeah, it's been a long time, and
Sure has.
I am very honored that for your friendship, and she's helped me through a lot of challenging situations, through divorces, through relationships that have failed, just a variety of things. And I just want the public to know that sometimes we don't always know, we don't post about people like her, the people who help us do the inner work and things like this. And you're definitely part of my inner circle and have helped me. So I appreciate you so much for doing that.
I appreciate you too. And thank you so much. It's my honor to be here too with you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And you'll be seeing her face quite a bit. We got some other shows me and her gonna be doing together that we're lining up to do. And but today we're going to be talking about daddy issues. I got the question mark beside it. I believe this episode will help so many people not only to acknowledge unresolved trauma, and that's pretty much in essence what we're going to be talking about, but also to go back and revisit some things um, that we may not be aware of that could be potentially detrimental, not only to our mental health, but even potential future relationships and connections that we may have with other people. So that's pretty much what we're going to be discussing tonight. So I guess what comes to your mind when you think of when I first told you about this subject? Like, what comes to your mind when I about daddy issues, and then we'll go on a little further. I just kind of want to see the framework where you're in with this subject.
Okay. Well, when you first brought it up, I thought, okay, well, I can speak for myself when it comes to daddy issues because I come from a divorced mom and dad, but even when my father was in the picture till I was about 14 or 15, he was more of a absent father. So he wasn't very much in my life period. It would always seem to be my mom more on top of everything that had to do with me. He didn't quite know me. Like I respect your relationship with your daughter, by the way, because it's beautiful, and that's what a dad, should be. Not just a father, but a daddy. When I think about daddy, when you mention daddy, I thought of intimacy. A dad is someone that knows you, that knows your essence, that you can come and you feel comfortable with. You can sit on their lap, you can hug, they validate you, they love on you, and when you're missing all of those things from your father, from your earthly father, then you have issues. And that's the first thing that came to my mind when I thought daddy issues is that dad that's there, that intimacy issues, the validation issues. Those things started coming to my mind because that's exactly what I went through growing up and still do, by the way, even at this age. It stays with you.
Well, I appreciate your compliments. I think you are a beautiful person, amazing mother. I've watched you from afar, even though we haven't met yet, and I think you're just as amazing. I think it's important, even how we raise our children, because I think it's setting the blueprint of what they could potentially be avoiding, maybe with men or with women. Depends on who the child is. You set the tone pretty much. You set the atmosphere. Even with my daughter, like we do father and daughter dates. I joke with her, and stuff like that. And just like I think this morning she said something to one of her boy. I said, who you say you I love you to?" She said, "Dad." She said, "Dad, my, this is my love life."
Oh boy, you're
But
in trouble.
I'm in trouble. I'm giving her a hard time though. She gives me a hard time. But
Yes.
I think you set the tone uh, for how you raise your kids, and you let them know. Like I tell her all the time, like it's not okay for a man to call you the B word. It's not okay for a man to harm you like in any capacity. So
Mm-hmm.
I think as she gets older and these things have been sown into her, they'll definitely be, um,
Yes.
that'll definitely be in her heart. So sometimes people think about daddy issues. I don't. Sometimes we like to limit that to one gender. I think it'd be both male and female. Daddy issues. What causes them? Sometimes people don't know what to do as to what can be the cure for them. I guess I can just give a definition of what daddy issues mean, and then we can continue this
Yes.
conversation.
Go ahead.
Um, in relationship psychology, daddy issues um, is a quorum term, not a formal diagnosis, used to describe psychological or behavior patterns influenced by a difficult or absent relationship with one's father or a father figure. It it often refers to unresolved emotional conflicts from childhood that impact self-esteem, trust,
Mm,
intimacy
yes.
in adult relationships, while frequently associated with women. Like I said, it's not limited to one gender, but it seems like it is frequently associated with women. Daddy issues can affect pretty much anyone. So you would be surprised how this affects us in our adulthood, which is weird because many people experience this in their childhood. So, what do you think about that?
Well, I think that think about this, okay? The first frame of reference for any child, right? Growing up since they're born, especially they say like the first 7 or 8 years of your life, when you're being formed, um, is what you take with you. So if you have an issue, daddy issue, for example, where a father is not there, or a mom well, we're not talking about a mom, but a mom has to take over, let's say, and be that mom and dad, although that's impossible to ever do. But we have those women. I'm a single mom. But I think that what happens is the kids are their frame of mind, or what they know, what they see, it's mom and his dad, is that family unit. And I think that that's why we carry that the rest of our lives, because we're formed, and our frame of reference for the world, it's not your auntie, it's not your grandma, it's not the school, even it's not the teachers, it's not anybody else, it's not a church per se, it comes from the nucleus that you're born in. So I think that that's the main reason why we see that, and it just evolves and it just carries with you as you grow. You know, what you're planting in your daughter and what you've been planting in her since she's been born. Being there, carrying her, changing diapers. Giving her milk, and then still not allowing the fact that she's growing up separate you, but you're still having your dates, and you're still enjoying being goofy with her and being silly with her, and knowing I have a boy that I like, and that's what, as she's growing and she's becoming a woman, that's what she's going to be looking as far as another man, or other figure, manly figures in her life,
Hmm.
and how she relates with them and the world, not just men, but the world around her. Trust issues you mentioned, validation, like all of those
Hmm.
things, and it carries with your relationships. Trust issues. Can I trust this person? Are they going to love me? And I'm not going to seek that validation from anybody else, because I know my worth. That's very important, whether
Yeah.
it's, like you said, man or female.
Things in your childhood can affect your adulthood, and sometimes it's not until years later you realize, like, oh, I got daddy issues. And the sad part I think about it, is when we start to see a reflection of that in future partners that we're with. Maybe that's issues of abandonment. Some of the things that you mentioned, it's almost like you become familiarized with it. Like, oh, I've experienced this before, so it's normal. Well, you may consider it normal, but it's not really okay. But I can understand that frame of mind
Of course.
as well. So I think it affects people in different ways. I believe a lot of trauma goes back to our childhood abuse, and certain patterns of behavior we see go to our adulthood. Sometimes we often see a repeat of it in future relationships because since it's something you witnessed as a child, it's become
Yes.
almost like normalized. What I would love to hear your thoughts. I love flowing back and forth with you. People don't realize when we're on the phone for like 2 hours sometimes
True.
just talking. But to I would love to hear your feedback on the cycle and also seeing a reflection of maybe their follower or follower figure or some man in the past that have pretty much ruined that into their adulthood. What do you think about that? Like the patterns of behavior, abuse, stuff like that.
Well, definitely we perpetuate that. We perpetrate, is that the word? My Cuban side comes out, okay?
Mm-hmm.
We perpetrate that. And even as
Yeah.
a woman, even as a woman, I remember always being more, I would say, attracted, or it would just happen that I would be more attracted to men that were older than me, for example. Why? Because I was looking for that father figure. I never was attracted to
Mm-hmm.
either young men my age, even in my teens or 20s. And now that's dangerous, but it's the truth because I was seeking that father figure. Um, and even choosing, and I think sometimes we don't even that's a pretty open word, like when you say choose, because some things they just happen to us too, especially
Yeah.
when you're younger. I mean, I married my son, who's 25 now. I married his dad,
Mm-hmm.
and he was almost 15 years older than me, and I married him pretty young in my 20s. So what's that to say? And then I told you I come from parents that are divorced, and then we divorced after 10 years. So you see what I mean? We
Yeah.
actually find ourselves repeating those cycles and those things because I think, like you said, there's unfinished business, there's unfinished issues that haven't been resolved in our lives. And even now with my daughter, her father, it's here but not here. He to me he could do
Yeah.
better as far as showing up for her and doing the things that need to be done. But so you kind of see that, and like you said, it kind of brings it more home when you do have a child, and you see that actually coming up again, even in your life now and theirs. So I hope that kind of answers your question, but you can throw back at me, and we'll add on to that.
Oh no, no, it definitely answers it, and I think it goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's just I think as a father, that's what I've instilled in myself. Like I need, like I said, I need to set it the blueprint in the sense of like where my daughter get to the point. I think she's already there. She'll be a teenager this year, where she'll say, "No, this is not okay." And even if you do have a good father figure, and I thought about this too, the opposite side. There are some people who've had great fathers, and
Hmm.
sometimes, and they treated their daughters great, and they still find themselves in cycles and with men or men with women. Um, that's not really good for them. And
Right.
but I feel like even though you are in those type of spaces, I feel like when it relates to change, that can be a huge change to pretty much do the inner work. And I throw that word around quite a bit. I didn't realize how serious that was. And
Very.
sometimes you really don't even, yeah, sometimes you really don't even see that. the seriousness of inner work until, like you say, when you start to see those cycles. Why am I um how come I'm still in short term relationships? Or and
Oh,
sometimes
yes.
it may not even be, sometimes it might not even be as much as you as going back, um as I said at the beginning of the broadcast, revisiting those things that you feel that could be problematic for
Mm.
that relationship, or at least talk about it.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
at least talk about it. You know, I just did a show before this one about mental health and relationships,
Mm.
and and like you mentioned the word, you know, it hits you at home. It's one thing to talk about it, but it's another thing to when you've actually lived it.
Yes, yes, yes. And I think a lot of what you're saying too, it's when it comes to relationships, it's that whole cycle of coming in and out of relationships or having some short-term relationships, let's say a year, 2 years, even
Hmm.
like I said, 10 years, but then it's over and you don't continue that, you know. I think a lot of it has to do with the insecurity, you know, the validation, like we talked about, and seeking
Hmm.
that. And then you actually project that and project those insecurities onto this other person. That of course, we know that's not the right thing to do, but it happens, right? And we project that to this other person, into this relationship, and we are looking to be filled. And I think that's also a major issue when it comes to relationships when we have that daddy figure lacking in our lives, you know, whether you be a man
Yeah,
or a woman, it hits both ways.
yeah. It's like it was like a void. Like, would
Mm-hmm.
you agree with that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's like something's lacking, something's missing, something's broken. There's a void there of something that should have been a part of you growing up. And like I said, especially the first few years, they're formative. Henry.
Hmm.
They're you know, it's what how we see the world out there. It's depends on how our parents treated us and what we saw at home, how we grew up, how healthy or not healthy those things were that first impact us. I mean, think about it. A kid doesn't go to school until you're 5. And
Yeah.
before that, they're already like sponges absorbing everything. And then we're, you know, 10, 20, 30, 40, even in our 50s, and we may still be dealing with issues because you said something very important, that inner work, that work that you have to do for
Hmm.
yourself to heal, you know, and to find that. Because fine, it's what's done is done. You can't change it. You know, even what other people chose to do or not do, show up or not show up as a father. But you have to now gain control. In other words, become responsible for yourself and say, okay, I had that. Like you said, it could be even the best father figure. But for us that we're lacking it, okay, my dad is alive now, by the way, and we get along great. Uh, and we try to make up for lost time. It'll never happen,
Hmm.
but we're building new things together, and it's helping me even at my age, you know. So it's you always have to reinvent yourself, and you always have to find that way of healing, and not asking anybody else to heal you. It's not from one relationship to another. It's more like doing that, and we've talked about that. It's about taking that time to
Yeah.
be by yourself and go through that, and that inner work, that shadow work, yourself,
Wow.
you know.
That is so that is so powerful. Cause a lot of people, and I've done this in the past. I even wrote a book about it. We talk about trauma and inner work and stuff like that, but not that I haven't done it. I have, but like I say, when you start to see cycles of short term relationships or just things like that, it
Yeah,
actually makes you ask the question. For me, it does. What is it about me that keeps attracting these
yeah,
type of women, or vice versa? If a
right.
woman, you know, what is it about me that keeps attracting these type of men? It doesn't mean that you're um, putting all the blame on you. It just means you're to a point now where it's like, okay, I see the cycle. I need to address it. Uh, and there are certain things that I feel like we should bring ourselves as it relates to boundaries
Oh
and
yes,
what
boundaries.
we're willing to tolerate. There are a lot of things today that people deal with in relationships. Like I said, it's almost like normalizing it. It makes me wonder why people feel that way.
Hmm.
Um, um, so there it can affect everybody in different ways. I think you mentioned abandonment.
Oh yeah,
I dated
abandonment
a
issues.
girl. Yeah, I dated a girl many years ago. Was just I swear I heard it from her every day. Are you gonna leave me? Are you gonna leave me? And
Mm,
I finally asked. I didn't mention daddy issues. I finally asked, like, why you keep asking me this? Well, my father left me when I was a kid. Oh, there it go.
yes, yes, yes. And then I wanna jump on something there that as you were speaking, a word was coming to my mind, and it's attention. That attention seeking,
Mm,
that hunger, right? For attention, not just
mm-hmm.
validation, but pay attention to me, that and
Yeah.
seeking that, putting that on that other person all the time. And it's because you weren't, when you were seeking that attention, you didn't get it. And now you'll do whatever it takes to get that attention, and
Yes.
even
Yeah.
expect it from that other person that you're with, and that can also hurt, when it comes to issues with relationships. And like you were saying, are you going to leave me? Or how about this, being the first one to leave so they don't leave you, like once it gets hard, I'm out of here, rather than let's work through these issues that are coming up. Because as I bring issues, you bring issues in a relationship. We all do. We all have something that we have
Mm-hmm.
to deal with, and instead of doing it together in a healthy way, and being vulnerable, and being okay with
Mm-hmm.
opening up and saying, I have this issue, and I feel insecure when you don't call, or I feel insecure, or you're not paying attention to me, and actually walking through it, and healing, with that other person. We tend not to, and we tend to just like, that's it, I'm out of here. I don't know if that's happened to you, but it sure has happened to me.
Well, yeah, it has. I think what you're saying is basically just talk about it.
Yeah, talk
Um,
about it.
and I realize nobody is perfect, but if you got some underlying trauma, some things you've dealt with in the
Yes.
past, I think, and I'm not saying you gotta come out on day one and say everything, but I
No.
think that's important to bring that to the table. Like I have abandonment issues, I have issues with trust,
Right.
and stuff like that. I think that's important to bring that up
Definitely.
as it relates to stuff like that. Another thing I wrote down too as things that a lot of people deal with as it relates to this subject is sometimes uh, people have an issue trusting men. I think you talked a little bit about that earlier. And another one is you typically choose men who are emotionally unavailable.
Hmm.
I think we're helping a lot of women. I know it's for both, but I
Yeah.
think it could be for. I think we're having a lot of women. I've been told
Yeah.
that I'm a male feminist. I still don't know what that means, but
A
I
male
take it as a
feminist.
compliment. Yeah, I don't know. I
Okay.
guess that's somebody who's an advocate for women. I said, well, I have a daughter, and even if I didn't have a daughter, I mean, it is what it is. But
Yes.
there are a lot of men, and I think maybe in the past I could have been emotionally unavailable because I didn't really know it was hard. It's hard to give something you don't have,
Yes. Yes. I'll say it's
and
impossible
some
almost to give
fathers
something.
growing up, yeah, some fathers growing up were just not emotional. They may have been there physically, they just was not emotionally available.
Yes.
And I've
Yes.
seen that happen time and time again. So I can understand attracting men that way. You have another one is you have a hard time creating healthy relationships.
Like you said, boundaries
That can be
also.
another effect. Yeah. You want to talk about that a little bit? Boundaries, how that plays into what we're discussing?
Yeah, boundaries are very important. And you know what? I honestly, if you would have asked me in my 20s or my teens, even in my early 30s, I'll be like, boundaries, what is that? I actually didn't learn about boundaries until I was actually in my early 40s, to be honest with you. because
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You're still 20.
see, that's why I love you. Thank you.
Yeah.
But you know what? We don't know what that's like, and no one taught us. That's another thing. When you're little, no one. My mom never taught me boundaries. I didn't have my dad to teach me boundaries. Don't let someone touch you. Or
Yeah.
if they touch you, and I'm sorry, I'm bringing this up because it's also a big
Hey,
thing, and pretty
it's
sure a lot
okay.
of both male and females go through that. How do you know as a little girl if someone touches you where they shouldn't, if that's wrong or right? And parents should say, hey, if someone touches you here, you say no. And you come and you tell me, things like that, because they happen all the time. And even in family,
Hmm.
between families, like the cousin, the uncle, you just don't know. So you don't have boundaries. And when you're little, you may be touched by someone that you love and care for, and you're thinking, well, they love me. And you feel kind of awkward and weird, but you're even afraid to say
Hmm.
something. You get me? So physical boundaries, emotional boundaries. If someone screams at you or hits you or speaks down on you or tells you this and that, you don't stay there. You do that.
Hmm.
Those are boundaries as you start growing up. I never knew what that was. No one taught me boundaries. So I think boundaries are very, very important. And now that I am an adult, obviously, I do. And I say, gosh, it's even God, he set boundaries. He gave us that whole
Exactly.
thing. The oceans, don't go past where they should. And it's boundaries are healthy. They're needed. They're a must. And I think that even whether you're 20 or you're 30 or you're 40, it's good to have them. They're necessary. You're only allowed up to here, and that's it. And once you set them up and you respect them for yourself, then guess what? Those that come into your life, they have to respect that as well. So I think boundaries
Hmm.
are necessary.
And you got to watch those people who try to violate your boundaries too.
Most definitely. Yes.
Because I mean, I always tell people, and I think I'm part of this too. Like, no matter what didn't work, sometimes when things don't work in your life, it makes you, and it don't mean it was their fault or they were bad
Right.
people or whatever. Sometimes it makes you it makes you look at yourself and reevaluate who
Mhm.
you are as a person.
Definitely.
And,
That's
and
huge.
also to create some. Sometimes it don't even mean that they don't have boundaries. Maybe they do. Maybe they just need to create stronger boundaries
Yes.
to prevent going back into situations that are not really healthy for them.
Correct. Correct. Like
So as you
imagine,
can
give me
see,
give me an example. Give me an example of a boundary that you have, Henry.
oh, she's interviewing me.
Yes.
now, now, I can't let you interview me because I charge a lot of money for that.
Oh man. Oh man.
Okay, about a boundary that I have, I would say. Do you mean in turn? Do you mean in general or just in like or relational?
Relational.
I I would say I can think of two things on top of my head. I think number one would be respect, and number two, not to be so giving.
Yes. That's one of
And it
mine.
doesn't mean I'm not a giving person. It's just that I've been in situations, and man, you've already discussed one particular situation I was in where I just felt like I was, and you don't see it at first. You
No.
give, you give your time, your talent, your resources, and your energy, and then all of a sudden to just pretend like that person doesn't exist anymore. Like that's a
Yeah.
different type of
Mm-hmm.
hurt. And so I think that made my boundaries go up. Like Henry, don't change who you are. You continue to be nice and all that's just who I am. I'm not being nice, it's just who I am. But at the same
Correct.
time, it makes you like hit the brakes or step back a
Mm-hmm.
couple steps and be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, take babies. Even if you were to pursue another relationship, really, really take baby
Yes.
steps. Don't be
Yes.
so
Quick.
giving. Don't give everything
Mhm.
out all at once. Don't give someone your heart
Yeah.
all at once, because it can you can build all that up in a year or 20 years, and in one
Mm-hmm.
day it can just start, it can shatter. So I hope I
Correct.
answered I hope I
Yes.
answered your question.
You sure did. You sure did. A boundary that for me is very important too is just your, like you said, your time. You know, before, and that's one of the things that, since we're talking about daddy issues, one of the main things about having a daddy issue is you seek validation from others, right? And you
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to say no. Or maybe when you were little, you said no, like I told you, and you weren't heard. So now your voice is silent. And now every time someone asks you for something, or, and it could be good things, you're always saying yes, yes, yes. Okay, I'll do this, I'll do that. But
Mm-hmm.
you're not really wanting to from the heart. And sometimes you want to say no, but you don't. So to me, that has been a big, big thing for me to work on myself.
Yeah.
Like, not just saying no to bad things, that's easy. But how about saying no to good things that you're just not called to do? And it's going to add on, I don't know, an extra stress to you, or you just don't. And you say, let me check on that, or no, I can't. And not have to lie about it, make up a lie as to why you can't, because we tend to do that. It's more like, no, thank you. Can you come on this day? I can't, but thank you. Maybe another time. And that gives us that freedom, just to be who we are and not have to seek that validation from people. So that's a boundary. The time, excuse me, your time. Take care of your time. The things that you want to do.
Wow.
What's important to you.
Wow, that is so good. I like how you were saying you don't have to say yeah. I wrote a chapter in one of my books. I don't know which one about that, about boundaries, and it's okay to say no. Because at one
Correct.
time I always said yes. Even, I'll be honest, I've been in relationships. I was married the majority of my life, so I have not formed a lot of relationships. But the ones I have been in, like, it's almost like I know I can say no, but I think it's the repercussions of their
Yes.
in my head. In my head is the repercussions of, okay, this person is asking for money, or this person wants my time, or they
Right.
want this or that. If I say no, my fear is the retaliation or the reaction
The reaction. Right.
of, and I was like, and then I thought to myself, I shouldn't be feeling that way in what I would call a healthy relationship. I should be able to say no and leave it at that. But these
Right.
days, I mean, it's different these days.
These days. But you're right. And because we're
I
seeking
always
for
tell,
people to
I
like
always
us.
tell people, I always tell people, watch their reaction. It's not as much as what they asked for. It's watch their reaction
Yes. Yes.
to your
Yes.
response,
Correct. Correct. Yes. It goes back
and
to not
that's
not
all you
what
need
people
to know.
say,
They'll
but what
tell
they
you
do.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's
they'll
like
tell
I
you
said,
everything. Just watch their reaction.
just watch their reaction. Correct. Correct. It's how they treat you.
Yeah, that's so true. So yeah, I think boundaries is something that, and some people don't even know how to create boundaries. I told my daughter
Oh,
this
yeah.
the other day. I said you need to make a list of what you will not tolerate from a man. And I said if you have to use me
Non-negotiables.
for, yeah, non-negotiables. Oh, and
That's
we got
it.
a show coming up about that too. That's gonna be a really
See?
good show. Me and you gonna be doing. What are
Huh?
those non-negotiables? What are those things that you will not tolerate? I said if you have to use me as a model, do that. I said
Mm-hmm.
let's throw spirituality in there. Look how good God is in your life. Look how
Mm-hmm.
God has treated you. If you have to
Yeah.
use God as a model,
Mm-hmm.
do that. And then I told her by doing this, it helps you to create. It's not that you're not being realistic. Every relationship, we talk about this. They have their ups and downs. um, and stuff like that. But I think we evolve and we grow beyond that as well. So I told her, I said, create a list. Ask yourself, what are my boundaries? What do I believe I
Good.
deserve as I get older? Um, if I were to have a potential relationship with someone, and I think it's like planting that seed, like you probably do to your children. You
Oh
plant
yeah.
that seed in their life, and it's not that their life is going to be like perfect, but at least they may be able to avoid some things like what me and you went through, divorce and stuff like that. That maybe they don't have to go through if we just tell them, "Hey, I've been down that road. I've been there before. This is not
Mhm.
okay." So uh, I think they can avoid those type of issues. So as you can see, there are many effects to this, and I believe it's important that these things are addressed, or as they said, uh, history is likely to repeat itself again, and I
Correct.
don't want that. Well, that's relationally or friendship. I want to change history for the better. I don't. It's almost like getting married over and over and over.
Correct.
And I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not judging people. I'm not being judgmental. It's just, but you gotta sit back and watch and be like, all right, I'm seeing a pattern here. Um, I,
Right.
I need to get this. What do you think about that?
Well, you're speaking to I'm a witness. I'm a witness. I'm a witness. I'm a witness. Like I said, I was married, and then I was together for 9 years. So married 10, together 9. And you know what's another thing is not knowing how to be not in a relationship, if that makes sense. Because
Mm-hmm.
you're always so used to being in a relationship that you don't even know how to handle yourself if you're not in a relationship and you're in a relationship with yourself. And that's another thing we've talked about. But coming back to what you said about your daughter and you being better, I was thinking when we're talking about all these daddy issues, we have to do the work for ourselves so that we could be better parents. And what we lacked, we can have our children be better, and have better, because we have to be better. We have to work on ourselves so that we can be better parents, better human beings. Like you said, choose better, you know, create those healthy boundaries that will in turn create that healthy relationship, you know. Um, and I think that that's a huge part of just evolving and maturing, even through the things that we have lived. I've lived through those things, and divorce and separation and being a single mom, and having to deal with all of that, which it brings a lot of things, even for my children, and standing in the gap for them, and um, being always there for them in that sense, right? While dealing with my own issues and growing up myself. I always tell my son, I had my son when I was 22. And so I always tell my son, we grew up together, me and him. We grew up together.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know how to be a mom, and I was very young, and I made a lot of mistakes, and we all do. No one's born knowing how to be a father, how to be a mother. And we grow as we go, and we love them. And I think that that's the major thing, is loving them, and from a pure heart, in a safe place that they could feel safe with us. Do you know what I mean? As far as our children's go.
Yeah. Well, life definitely doesn't come with a manual. I wish it did.
Me
Um,
too.
when I had my daughter, people don't, people laugh, but I got on Google like and I typed up how to be a father, and everything that they were saying didn't work for me.
Uh-uh. Nope.
And I said I'm glad it didn't work for me because that would have took away from the uniqueness and creativity of my
Mhm.
relationship I wanted to form. It's no different than people, and I'm not anti-marriage seminars and singles groups. I think those things are great. But it's like somebody standing up saying, I've been married for 25 years. If you apply these principles, it will work for your relationship. I find that problematic too because it's like what worked for you and your wife
Right.
may not work. I may want to apply some different principles. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so
Yes.
I think that's important. I think the question is, because we talked about cycles as well. Can the cycle be broken? Is someone willing to break that cycle? How do you exactly do that? You have to realize, I think a way of doing that is you have to realize who you are and what you deserve as a woman or man. Unresolved trauma can be a problem for any relationship. I also think it's possible to overcome this with a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, a
Definitely.
therapist, a therapist can help you understand the root cause of
Mm-hmm.
your emotions and your
Mm-hmm.
behaviors. Then
Yes.
work with, and then you can work with, and they can work with you to find personalized solutions for them, such as what is the root cause? We're talking about daddy issues tonight. What is the root cause? Why do I keep attracting these type of men? What
Mm-hmm.
is it in me that keeps attracting these type of women? I believe people who struggle in these areas should take a personal inventory of
Mm-hmm.
themselves. A lot of
Yes.
people are refusing to do the inner work, and they end up in spaces that don't benefit them, and it becomes literally a cycle. So if you, here's the way I look at it: if you don't deal with your trauma will ultimately deal with you.
Yes. Yes. Yes, and it will be repeated on your children as well, and so on and so forth. When you said about being
Mhm.
breaking those cycles, and not repeating them, I think that's the major thing. Is it doesn't depend on anything outside of yourself. It doesn't depend on another person to do it for you. I think the only way that you and I can stop that from happening, or create something different, is to do something different. You know, and just work on ourselves, however that looks. And it's an ugly process. It's not pretty.
Yeah.
you know there's times when it really hurts, and you cry a lot, and you make a mistake, and you fall on your face again, and you have to get up again. But as long as you're living, you have to become and want to be better. And like I said, it starts with you, and then from there on, once you recognize that, then whatever you need to do, like you said, is different for everyone. Some people are open to therapy, other people are not. But they can read a book, and they can
Hmm.
write, and go to the beach, and be in touch with nature, whatever it is that helps you to overcome those cycles, and get through to them and not repeat them. Then so be it, bring it. We're alive, and life is beautiful, and it's worth living it, and living it happy, fulfilled, not full of anxiety and fears and insecurities. And trust me, we all have them at some point. We're never going to be
Yeah.
100% perfect and healed. 100, I don't believe so, in everything. But as we
Hmm.
go, and as we are more open to do that work, I think it's more possible to live a more fulfilling life, despite all of that.
I think this was a wonderful conversation. If anything, I hope it caused people who may have these type of issues to do, as I said earlier, do a deep inventory of yourself, a self evaluation. Even if that means looking at the relationships that you're in, the people you're connected to, asking yourself, how do I feel around this person? You mentioned some about, kids that are violated as children. Sometimes that goes into your adulthood, and you,
Yes.
you, you think it's love when it wasn't. I mean, we touched on a lot of things today that I really believe is going to resonate with so many people, and I'm so glad that you had the opportunity to come on the show. I want to do something right quick, and I want to. These are tonight's questions. We do this every Monday night with every show, and these are the questions that I want the audience to answer. Um, Number one, do you have daddy issues? Now you don't have to. That's not said in a sarcastic way. It's just, I mean, if you want to respond to that, you can. If you do, put in the comment section. We've been open with our experiences, and this is a safe space where you can be open with yours. Number two, uh, what resonated the most to you about tonight's discussion? Maybe it's something that uh, my bestie said. Yeah, she's my bestie. I want the world to know. Maybe it's something that she said. or some that I said. Um, what connected with you? What resonated with you? And number three, if daddy issues is not addressed, can it create problems for future relationships? Well, you want to date someone again or get married, um, can that be problematic? So I'm looking forward to seeing everyone's answers
Yes, me
tonight
too.
in in the comment section. And I would also like to encourage you to get involved. Like, subscribe, follow us, youtube.com, Henry Harris 100, Facebook, we're on Soul TV. Also, you can follow our Facebook page, The Brother Henry and You Show, for more content. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. Thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. I really appreciate you, and I'm looking forward to having you back on for future programs as well.
Oh, thank you for having me. And I'm looking forward to, we always talk more privately, but and we've known each other for so long, but it was
We
so
do.
nice to just kind of come up and come live and just bring this up because it is something that I'm sure everyone has had some issue with at some point. But it is my honor and my privilege to be here too. Thank you, Bestie.
Well, yeah, thank you so much.